Hello and welcome to Money Control. This is Dustin Yard and you're watching Cricket with Ayaz. Today we are going to give you a hawk-eye view into the biggest stage of cricket, the 2019 ICC Cricket World Cup. With us we have one of the best cricket journalist, columnist, author and commentator, or I could simply address him as the Cricket Wala. Welcome to the show, Ayaz.
Thanks, Dustin. Thanks.
So, Ayaz, the stage is set for the 2019 ICC Cricket World Cup in England and Wales. Let me begin with asking you, do you think this Indian team can bring the World Cup home?
Most certainly, I think this Indian team has got depth and balance. Yes, there is an issue with the tail. You know, the tail is a pretty long tail and they don't contribute too much in terms of runs. But if you look at the top half, the batting is fantastic. I mean, Virat Kohli there, is the best batsman in the world. They've got experience in the form of Shikhar Dhawan, Rohit Sharma, and most certainly Mahendra Singh Dhoni. What they've got, interestingly, and which has made Indian cricket, look so good over the past couple of years, is a very good bowling attack. So they've got fast bowlers like Bumrah, Shami, and Bhuvneshwar, and spinners like Chahal and Kuldeep Yadav and Jadeja. So I think it's a well-rounded team. But of course, you're playing in England, the conditions will be different. So they'll have to adjust and adapt very quickly.
So, Ayaz, any changes that you would have liked to see in the squad that has been picked for the World Cup?
Well, not really. I mean, I would have personally thought that somebody like Rishabh Pant would have got the nod for the simple reason that if the choice is of a second wicketkeeper, then you should plump, in my opinion, for a youngster looking ahead rather than somebody who is almost the same age as your main wicketkeeper. So no disrespect meant to Dinesh Karthik, but the man for the future is Rishabh Pant, and I think this experience would have been wonderful for him.
Okay. So India have one of the best batsmen and the best bowler in the world, and there'll be a lot of expectations from Virat Kohli and Jasprit Bumrah. What do you think we can expect from them in English conditions?
They should be in top form. That's very, very vital. You've highlighted these two players and everybody knows that these are the two pillars. Yes, there's the support cast around them. So there is Shikhar Dhawan, Rohit Sharma, KL Rahul in terrific form and so on. Mahendra Singh Dhoni, as I mentioned. Mohammad Shami, who's been in top form to give Bumrah company. And of course, Hardik Pandya, who I think is going to be perhaps the X factor in this World Cup for India. So, but for the team to do really well, I think Virat Kohli needs to, live up to his reputation as the best batsman in the world. And Jasprit Bumrah, he's had a long year. He's played in every format, and therefore he needs his. I think the issue is going to be, in many ways, whether they can sustain their form and fitness. Remember, we are going to the World Cup on the back of a very fatiguing IPL season also. So these are issues that matter, but certainly Kohli's form and Bumrah's form.
Okay. So who do you think are going to be the biggest threats to India in this edition, given that the Windies are labelled as the X factor? Do you see other teams posing a tough fight to the Indian squad?
You can't have many X factors, there's only one, and that is the West Indies. And that's because they've come along very strongly. In fact, the IPL has been of benefit to them. Somebody like an Andre Russell, who may not have made the cut, may not have been the West Indies team, but for the way he has batted and bowled and fielded in the IPL. So he's there. Chris Gayle just appointed the vice captain. We all know what he can play havoc with the bowlers. These guys are there. The West Indies have looked, more intent. In the past, there was a lot of dissonance. I think there is a new establishment, a new administration that has come in, which is striking a rapport with players, and that could be, that could make a big difference in how they perform. Just recently, a couple of days back, they openers put up a 300 plus, 365 runs partnership for the first wicket. So this is a dangerous team. But where the main teams are concerned, in my opinion, it's England, ranked number 1, India, ranked number 2. These are the ICC rankings. Australia, who've become, strong suddenly because Smith and Warner are back, and Warner's in devastating form. And I really fancy even New Zealand to make the last 4. So it's an underrated, understated team, but it's a very experienced team and led by somebody who I really admire as a batsman and captain, Kane Williamson.
So we've already spoken about the Indian tail you mentioned. How much of a bother do you think it will be, considering how the tails of the other teams perform?
It is a bother, let's be honest about it, because if you look at Australia, they virtually have no tail, or England, they've got so many all-rounders, guys, apart from Adil Rashid, everybody else bats, and even Adil Rashid is not a mean bat, he can contribute 15-20 runs. The problem with the Indian team is, you take Bumrah, you take Shami, you take Kuldeep Yadav and Yuzvendra Chahal. Between them, they've been struggling to put together, 4 of them 20 runs. So the challenge for the Indian team management during the World Cup will be to strike, what's your playing 11 going to be? If you have a very extended tail and the batting somehow, or for some reason, doesn't really come good that day, you expect the tail to shore up the innings. If that doesn't happen, then you're left vulnerable. So that's why they picked Jadeja in the squad. I think that they will probably play Jadeja more often than one imagines, because Yuzvendra and Kuldeep Yadav together, while they've been match-winning bowlers, may just extend the tail too much. So I think rigging up the playing 11 is going to be one of the challenges, which is what we'll see in the practice matches, how the Indian players perform, because all of them will get a chance. Especially young Kuldeep Yadav, he's had a very poor IPL. So whether opposing batsmen have kind of sorted him out, seen what he does, there's no magic left in this, there's no tricks left, then it becomes an issue. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. And lastly, I would like to ask you, do you spot any other weaknesses in this Indian squad headed there?
There are no weaknesses. I think what the biggest challenge for any team, and that will be true of India, is, you have to be mentally tough. It's a very long tournament. It's a 40-day tournament up to the final, or maybe 45 days. And this is a league format. That means there are no 2 groups. Each team is playing the other. This is a 1991-92 World Cup format. So you have to keep, be relentless. Not only be, show intent in the first few matches. And remember, India's biggest challenge is in the first half. You're playing South Africa, Australia, Pakistan in the first week or 10 days. You don't do well in those matches, you're, on the back foot. So one is form and fitness, the other is mental toughness and the energy. If you want me to highlight something, we've talked about the tail end issue which could be there, it's the fielding. These are big grounds in England. These are not IPL grounds, 60, 65 yards, where you can cover the distance well. So big grounds, you have to be very sharp, speedy in your fielding, very sure in your catching, and fantastic in your running between the wickets.
Thanks for sharing your views with us, Ayaz. That brings us to the end of this edition of Cricket with Ayaz. For more news, views and other such updates, stay tuned to Money Control. Thanks for watching.